N-word usage jumped by 500% since Elon Musk took control of Twitter. And I'm not surprised, and you shouldn't be either. Because for real, for a lot of folks out there screaming they want free speech, what they truly want is the freedom to call you the N-word and not face any type of repercussions at all.
There it is. The use of the N-word has increased by 500% since this man has taken over. And I totally agree. A lot of people want the freedom to not only use the N-word, but to do all kinds of foolishness and mayhem on Twitter without having to be accountable. And many of these folks are cowards because they wouldn't dare say these things in people's faces. But this is what happens when you have someone like Elon Musk take over. Hate speech just overflowing like milk and honey. In addition to the insane rise of the use of the N-word, there is also anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ language popping up all over the place at rapid rates. Take a look at this. Anonymous trolling accounts ran tests on Twitter's modern policies by calling for the denaming of transgender people and the use of offensive terms like groomer. The Stop the Deal Coalition, there are groups out there who are fighting really hard to draw our attention to this. Groups were drawing our attention to this even before the transaction took place. But we do have groups that include Accountable Tech, Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, and Public Citizen. They all predicted that this would happen if Elon Musk was allowed to purchase Twitter. Elon Musk's plans for Twitter will make it an even more hate-filled cesspool, leading to irreparable real-world harm. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Musk insisted he was buying Twitter, however, to bolster free speech. The only thing he is bolstering is hate speech. Take a look at this headline. Elon Musk, new owner of Twitter, tweets unfounded anti-LGBTQ conspiracy theories about Paul Pelosi's attack. He did that. And so folks are just all up on Twitter following the unleader, because that's what he is. And as a reminder, because we need to remind Elon Musk of something. There are certain things that free speech does not protect. And here they are. It's not protected by the First Amendment. Incitement, fighting words, obscenity, and defamation. None of those things are protected by the First Amendment. It's not a surprise when you have a wannabe dictator running Twitter that all of this madness is happening. Not surprising at all. Elon Musk ousts Twitter board named sole director. Here we go. Musk inner circle worked through the weekend to cement Twitter's layoff plans. So not only did this man let the board go, he is laying off countless numbers of workers at Twitter. This is what you get when you get somebody like him taking over. Meanwhile, Fox said during Musk's initial negotiations, they said this, watch.
This is literally about saving civilization, because right now in America, democracy is not really truly democracy when one side of the table is completely censored.
It's a high stakes, big business, but at stake is free speech. I mean, can you imagine if you went on a platform and you just saw conservative thought and liberal thought at the same time, no one protecting us from someone's point of view?
Just said it's not worth it. It's a left-wing echo chamber. By the way, it's great to see the minions at Twitter freaking out. There's a lot of reports of employees there very concerned about their safe space.
They're all fired.
You have to change the corporate culture.
Ben, can you imagine Elon Musk being responsible for saving democracy, for saving free speech? But this is how the folks over at Fox see it.
No, that's understating it, Senator. Saving civilization. He's definitely going to do that by unleashing racists to feel more empowered to be extra racist. It is unreal what the opinion of these broadcasters are, these right-wing nut jobs, for lack of a better word, that act with complete false equivalency and speak as though there is some sort of banning of conservative thought. That is just an outright lie. Conservatives are all over Twitter people pretty far right are all over Twitter and have never been banned. I have a subgroup, and I don't know if we can say the full word of what it's titled on my Twitter, where I follow every day the posts of dumb AS, and then another one of those letters, Republicans that are posting all day, every day, ignorant, stupid things. That is not banned on Twitter. What's banned is hate speech. What's banned is dangerous disinformation meant to put people or groups of people at risk, to put a target on their backs, to increase the amount of hate that all that does is put people at danger through misguided, uninformed, irresponsible people that are just there to throw fire bombs into the public discourse. That is all that has been banned from it. And it is a complete lie when Elon Musk says he's doing this to make it a fair and open public square. That's what it is. Just taking out those horrible actors I just mentioned does not make that worse. And he already is realizing it to some degree, because already realizing that advertisers are gonna flee in droves as soon as he doesn't moderate any sort of speech, immediately says there'll be no changes until we have a content moderation council put in place. Don't worry, we're gonna figure it out. Oh, you mean kind of like it is now, you idiot? You see, this guy did not want to run Twitter, it doesn't seem, like his other very successful companies, Tesla and SpaceX, which are serious endeavors to him. He's a troll in his personal time and wanted the ability to be chief troll. I mean, he changed his own Twitter bio to chief twit. Yeah. And that's what his own goal is. Be a twit.
He wanted to be king of the trolls.
Yeah, he wanted to be king of the total twit. That's what he wants.
And it's funny, Ben, that Fox is talking about the suppression of free speech. I want to know if you remember this.
But it's also scary because I shouldn't be numb to your racist comments.
Right.
I shouldn't be numb to your behavior.
I'm numb to this commentary. Like, must they run their mouths like that? Oh, and LeBron and Kevin, you're great players, but no one voted for you. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
Laura Ingraham, just shut up and dribble. I guess Fox doesn't remember that.
Ooh, God, it's so painful when I see that clip. It's, first of all, their lack of self-awareness over and over again is unreal. She's literally on a show as an unelected human, sharing her political opinions, showing a clip of another show of unelected people saying, how dare you share opinions? You're not elected. Come back to my unelected opinions.
Right.
And then to take it further and repeat the incendiary and insane shut up and dribble, which is something I talk about in my special too, about all these protests. That came from LeBron defending Kaepernick during the anthem protests. And what Fox News does so well, as does so much of the right wing media in this country, they remove the actual issue and we never get to debate the actual issue. Never was even 10 minutes on the news, let alone Fox, talked about what the protests during the anthem were about. Police brutality, equal justice under the law, equal treatment for all communities. And it instead became, should he be allowed to protest? One step removed from the actual issue. Then LeBron chimes in. Of course he should be. Now it should be LeBron. Should LeBron be allowed to comment about Kaepernick, whether he's allowed to take a knee? And they just pull it as far as possible from actually discussing the oppressive ways that this country does its business. It's disgusting.
Well, they only agree with dissent if it's their dissent, not other folks' dissent. That's how it goes.
Right, which also is not dissent in their eyes. You're not agreeing with dissent if you agree with it.
Right, that's exactly right. And then how about this? The far right really does know how to play victim when they can't be openly racist. I want you to take a look at this.
I think the term racist, Chris, has become a label that is too often deployed by the left, Democrats in this country, simply to try to silence and punish and suppress people they disagree with, speech that they don't want to hear.
Well, I am going to go out on a limb, Ben, and say I do disagree with hate speech. I do disagree with the use of the N-word. I do disagree with transphobia and homophobia and all of I do disagree with speech that incites and could get people hurt, because there are folks who are wired to this kind of language that will act out violently. So, oh yeah, we are going to stand up and say that we are against that kind of speech, but it's the kind of free speech right-wingers like to hear. How about this?
I mean, you put your kids on a school bus, you expect safety, but in Obama's America, the white kids now get beat up with the black kids cheering, yeah, right on, right on, right on, right on.
So, with an A on the end. Well, I think I can now. Isn't that the point? Because it's not racist.
Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country.
See, for these folks, they don't get it. That word, the N-word, was created by white racists to dehumanize black folk. That's why that word was created. And the fact that in the 21st century, we have somebody like Musk who is creating an environment for folks who are still racist or racist adjacent to use that word really should be unacceptable for everybody. White folks don't get to use that word. And let black people have a family meeting about how they use the word or how we use the word, but don't you jump into that. We know the history behind that word, Ben, and they know it. Blacks were beaten, they were raped, they were dehumanized, degraded. All of the horrible conditions by which that word was used. And somebody like Rush Limbaugh and others, I know he's dead now, got the pure unadulterated gall to try to be the dictators of speech that doesn't align with what they have to say. And the man said, Ben, he said, I guess I can start using it now. Has no understanding of the historic underpinnings of the use of that word. None.
100%, 100%. I mean, you see in Rush Limbaugh's very phrasing there, how eager he is to be able to, he was to be able to use that word. He goes, yeah. I think I can say it now, almost like he's chomping at the bit to be able to say it. And these people in positions of power and privilege do not realize that when they say something for entertainment value, they pretend to think on their right-wing platforms, or when Stephen Miller, the fact that anybody has Stephen Miller on a show as an arbiter of what should be hate speech or not, a white supremacist, neo-Nazi, horrible human being sitting there and saying what should and should not be interpreted as hate speech, they think they can say something on the air and just light a torch under somebody and just say something and see what happens. Because when people don't have that same level of privilege and don't go back to their ivory tower, it sets off a fire to those who are even less educated, are less aware of what they're doing. So to me, there is no more racist adjacent. If you are adjacent to racism, yes, you are racist. You're just a coward racist who's kind of saying it or letting others do it. If you don't condemn horrible hate speech and racism, you are that. You're just a cowardly version of it.
You're right about that, Ben. Absolutely right. There are really real world consequences behind what Elon Musk is allowing to happen on Twitter. And for example, I want people to look at this data quickly, Ben, before we move on to our next story. And we see that the bias motivation categories for victims of single bias incidents in 2020, victims of hate crime incidences, over 8,000 single bias incidents involved over 11,000 victims. And in 211 incidents, a total of 346 victims were targeted because of more than one bias. We got to be able to check our biases at the door and not promote those biases, not promote the base instincts of human beings. But here we have it, Elon Musk stoking the flames of those base urges. We got to continue to push back on this. You got to join us in pushing back on this.